Today, we're breaking down some of those preconceived notions that we all have about what marketing should be. And we're talking about mindful and sustainable marketing with my special guest today, Tomisin Smith. I'm excited to geek out about marketing with her. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Mindful Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, ANDREA Jones. Tune in every week as we redefine marketing playbooks to break free from what we should do so that we can scroll less, connect more, and grow together. I've recorded over 300 podcast episodes. Yeah, it's a lot of podcast episodes, and I've tried a lot of different virtual recording studios, but my favorite has been Riverside. Riverside makes their virtual recording studio look so profesh. My guests love it. Plus, I also low-key love recording YouTube videos in here as well because it's so easy to use. My team also loves Riverside because it spits out separate audio, video tracks, making editing easy breezy, lemon squeezy. And if you want a little magic, they've got this tool called Magic Clips, which uses AI to take your video and turn it into perfect social media sized videos. I'm talking vertical videos for TikTok and Instagram, Facebook Reels, all the places you can post these videos with the captions included, and you don't have to hunt and search for that perfect clip. So if you want to try this out for yourself, click the link that goes with this video, or if you're listening to the audio on the podcast, it's in the show notes, okay? Click that link, use the 15% off coupon code. It's DREA, D-R-E-A, and try Riverside for yourself. Thank you, Riverside. Tomisin, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. It's super glad.
Yay, I'm excited to chat with you and just geek out about marketing. We have a lot of the same foundational beliefs in like what marketing could be and how businesses can use it. But I want to go way back to your origin story. I was watching a YouTube video of yours right before this, and you said you started 10 years ago, same as me. So tell me, we're OGs. How did you get into the marketing space?
It's so wild because, my story is not one that is smooth. Because I'm originally African, so you're either a doctor, an engineer, or you're a failure, right? So I went to school for medical sciences, and it was so hard. I hated every second of it. I hated everything we had to do, open people up. It was gory, and I just knew that, you know what? I don't want to live my life like this. I am not happy. So once I was done with medical school, I went to advertising school. I've always been fascinated by creativity. It's wild to me how something in someone's brain can become pen to paper, right? Taking something from your head and putting it down, whether you're drawing, whether you're writing. So I've always been that kind of a girl. And I'm like, you know what? Let me go to advertising school and see what I can do with this. And, that's also a lesson for someone that you don't always have to have your life figured out. It's okay to keep trying and experimenting up until you find out what you really want to do. So I went to advertising school for art direction because I'm also like super into producing and directing movies because I'm more of a I used to think I'm more of a behind the scenes girl, but life has shown me otherwise. And after I was done with art direction, I noticed that I really gravitated towards graphics and social. And the cool thing about my ad agency was, yes, you had your core, but you were involved in every other thing. So I had some information about copy, radio jingles, billboards, the process, shooting ads. And I found out that throughout all of this and all the knowledge I had garnered, social was more interesting to me. But I did not know how to go about it. I had the advertising school certification. How do I apply for jobs? How do I get a job? Then I met this lady in church, summer, like 10 years ago. And I always really liked how she carried herself. She had like 3 phones. And then 10 years ago, she had 3 phones. Like, what do you do for work? And why do you have so many phones? And, I just asked her that, sorry, is it okay if I ask? And she says she's a social media manager. And I'm like, oh my God. I love this. People can pay me to manage their social, which is, me using all the skills I have, all the skills I have garnered, all the skills I love. And then I went into action. I took every certification, I read every book, I took every course, because I'm a very DIY kind of person, a self-starter. So yes, I get like the basic school knowledge, but I'm very, very into practical knowledge. So I took the Meta, then it was Facebook Blueprint.
Yep.
I took courses on Shaw Academy. I took courses on Google Digital Garage. And that's what I tell people that want to be social media managers now. You have not gotten all these skills and you're just maybe following some gurus and they're telling you what to do, which is most likely not right. There's so many free resources that you can exhaust before you start paying for things. So I took all of these free resources and put that knowledge together. I got the certifications, wrote a resume, and applied to my first big girl job. And I got it. I was like, oh my God, I got this job, quote unquote, by myself.
Yeah.
And that's really how I got into social. And I've been there for a decade this year and still loving it. Yes, I have grown from employee to solopreneur to business owner to agency owner, but I'm really, really grateful for the kind of journey that I have had so far.
Yes, I love that. And I love that you're like, first of all, you just casually are like, yeah, I went to med school. I'm like, what, girl? Like, that's a lot of school. That's a lot of school. And I'm with you. I can't even watch, I just started watching Chicago Med and I can't even watch that. I'm like, it's too gory. Can we fast forward through it's not for me. It's not for me. But I like your journey because it's so rich from the background. And I think that's important for like us to talk about because sometimes people, when they come into our world the first time, they just get the snapshot of where we are now. And where we are now can be easy to describe, but the path to get there sometimes is not easy. So I love that. I love that. So you're all about sustainable and mindful marketing, just like I am. And I know for me, there was like a key moment where it was like, oh, I don't want to do things the way that everyone else does them. I think I have a different approach. And then once I had that key moment, I couldn't go back. I had to start infusing it into my work. And then now this is the Mindful Marketing Podcast. I've rebranded it because of all this work that I've been doing for the past few years. So I'm wondering for you, was there a moment in time or a couple of moments where you're like, we can't do things unethically. We can't do things without being mindful?
I think for me, it was like late 2020 and like 2021, the hit of COVID when everybody and their grandparents became online educators and everybody knew about social. And there was so much misinformation out there. It used to keep me up at night. Every time I say this, people are like, really? Because this is what I do. This is what I love. I don't want it to be misrepresented. And at that moment, I just decided that, you know what, I'm going to get online and demystify everything I can, break every myth breakable, call out whoever I choose to call out, and also teach people the right way to think about things. Because social is so noisy. Social is so hard. People get depressed from social media. So it can be a matter of life and death. It can be the difference between someone's life looking a certain way and it looking like in a very good way. So I decided that I wanted to be that person that to a large extent would put that positivity back in the hearts of people while teaching them that, it is a marathon. It's not a sprint. You have to think sustainably over virality. Because I say this all the time, I'm not building an agency that I want us to be viral today and making $100 million today. Nope. My goal is slowly but surely. Because even as a person, maybe because I'm neurodivergent, when things happen too fast, it overwhelms me. And I know almost everybody's like that. I've gone viral on social and I hated it so much. So, in 2020, 2021, I just decided that I don't like the information I am seeing. There were a lot of people that were kind of like looking to me in the social media space. So maybe people I had mentored in the past or people that were Nigerians like me and maybe just moved to the US. I just needed some direction and I decided that I was going to be that guy for them while remaining true to myself. It is so important to me to be able to sleep at night. for me to be able to feel like I did the right thing. I said the right thing. I led people in the right path. Because I believe that when God gives you an opportunity, because I'm a believer, when God gives you an opportunity, when He sets you on a path, you're supposed to do it right, because you won't ever count. So for me, legit, that's where it came from. I just wanted to do the right thing. Whether I go viral or not, I really don't care. Low key, I don't want to, but I want you to be able to come back to my page, to the work that I have done, to the results we have delivered for our clients 5, 6, 7 years from now, and it is still valid, it's evergreen, and it's good information.
Yeah, I love that. And same here. There's so much, not just misinformation, but the advice that's given, it's like, yeah, it could work, but you're selling your soul for it. Like I remember around the same time, 2020, 2021, the big thing was like post to TikTok 5 times a day. 5 times a day? What else are you doing in your day? You're living on TikTok. And yeah, you could go viral. Sure. Going viral, first of all, doesn't guarantee that your business that you're going to get more business. Okay. And then the second thing is you're going viral at the cost of your own personal self, which I just don't think that's not a price I'm willing to pay. Okay. Like I'm not willing to pay it. And so I think that part of what you said, like low key, we don't want to go viral. We've seen too much. We've seen too much. It's part of the reason I don't put my kids on social media. I've seen too much. I know too much.
Same. 2 children, you would never see them anywhere. They literally have 0 digital footprint. Cannot do it.
Yeah, we've seen the behind the curtain. So with all of that in mind, I want to learn more about you and kind of like how you apply this to your own accounts, because as much as we as marketers say, this is what you should do, sometimes what we actually do is different. Or even like the time that we make for our own stuff is different. I know a lot of marketers are listening to this and they do it for their clients. And then when it comes to their own accounts, they're like, what? And one of the things I saw recently was that you are on YouTube. I think you posted this on Threads. You said you're starting on YouTube. So talk to me about, this is a 2-parter question, what your current favorite platform is, and then why you decided to explore a new platform like YouTube.
So I'll start with what my favorite platform is. And, I'm rolling my eyes as I say this, but it's Instagram. Instagram for me is like that toxic ex that we've had our differences and I love to hate, but I find it hard to let him or her go, right? Because it might be because it's the first platform I ever managed at my first job. And I've been on Instagram since it was Instagram, if you know what I mean. Like at that point when I got on Instagram, I knew the content that would go viral. I knew the ones that would do well. I knew the ones that, my audience or the audience of whatever page I'm managing would engage with. It wasn't Russian relay like it is now. So I really, really, really like social media, Instagram in particular, because it has just always been there for me, right? And I am a very visual person. By visual, I mean graphics, not necessarily video. Because I mentioned earlier that, I like to be behind the scenes. I am so awkward on video. A lot of people don't believe me, but it takes a lot of me, pepping myself up, talking to myself and having conversations with like the inner Tomi to, be good on video. Because I don't even take pictures. That's how bad it is. Because I feel like it's just not my vibe. So I'm not big on video, but I'm big on graphics. Give me designs all the time. Tell me to make things look pretty. So Instagram has that for me. I can put pictures, I can put graphics that people would appreciate and be like, oh, this looks really good. And it has good information. So I think that's majorly why Instagram is still my fave till date. YouTube, I am loving. I'm not even going to front. I currently have 80 subscribers and I love it. I am so happy because I feel like for me getting on YouTube, it's not about, putting myself out there necessarily. It's about keeping a promise I made to myself, which is to consciously share good information. I know that I can do that on Instagram, but half the time I'm like, I have so much more to say. And then it has to be 1 minute, or it has to be 30 seconds, or I have to have a training audio and all those, things that I'm just like, you know what, I'm not doing this. So I decided that with YouTube, I can have much more impact. My watchword this year is impact over effects, impact over virality. Impacts are long lasting in comparison to effects. Effects just come and go. It's like it's like a shadow. It passes and that's the end of it. But YouTube, and I thought about the platform that can give me that type of impact that I'm looking for, and it's YouTube. I watched YouTube videos from 10 years ago. So, I necessarily don't see Instagram posts from 10 years ago. So I'm like, you know what? If I'm thinking longevity, if I'm thinking sustainability, especially for my personal brand, then I need to be on YouTube. So this is me keeping that promise to myself. This is me consistently deciding to post at least for this year. And I was telling my friends, honestly, if I get 2 views, Andrea, I'm still going to keep posting, because it's not about that for me at all for now. It's about showing myself that when I tell myself to do something, I can. Because I was talking with my younger brother that the people that are doing well, the ones that are selling their businesses for millions, or the ones that have impact, the kind of impact I'm looking for, the Malalas of this world, is not because they're the most brilliant people, it's because they're the most consistent. Everybody's going to forget about you if you don't keep doing what you're doing, if you don't keep the promises you make to yourself, the promises you make to your audience. So, my major goal this month is consistency. I don't care if nobody watches. I don't care if it's not doing well. The numbers are not it. At least maybe next year we change, but for me this year it's nothing about that. So that's majorly why I decided to get on YouTube. 90 subscribers long, but the vibe is immaculate. I am not feeling pressured or feeling anxious to get in front of the camera and record a video, because I'm just talking about what I already know. So, that's where I'm at, honestly.
Honestly, I love it. We are like kindred spirits over here. I feel like I always have way more to say than social media allows. I feel like I'm always just like teasing people on social media. Listen to the podcast, watch my YouTube videos. That's where the real stuff is. I love that. And I think that a lot more people are leaning into these long form content styles. We're seeing like podcasting, YouTube video, blogging is having its moment. I'm here for it. I love it. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk more about all of this change and what that means when we get back. We are long past the good old days of MySpace, and despite what those Facebook ads are touting as the magical AI solution antithesis to social media is not dead. It is simply evolving, and that's what we're exploring at the Social Media Day Summit. Join me and my fellow experts on June 30th as we dive into what's working for social media marketers here, now, and today. We're exploring innovative strategies and timeless tactics that you can use for both yourself and your clients. Grab your ticket today for $10 and I'll see you there. And we're back. So I want to talk about change because I watched I think it was an Instagram reel of yours recently, I believe, because you were in the car and you were talking about change and how as business owners, we need to embrace change. Like it's going to happen anyways. And I think especially in the industry we're in social media, it changes so much. So can you talk to us a little bit about change and what are some ways that business owners and marketers can think about change as a good thing and not necessarily a bad thing?
Okay, awesome. So first, the video I started recording in the car is because I was trying to take the pressure out of video content. So it was me distracting myself and talking like I would to maybe my friends or, someone seated at the on the other side and just talk about something I'm passionate about. So that goes to show that, just create wherever it meets you. It doesn't have to be perfect. And so many good conversations in my DMs, on threads, have come from those my car conversation type videos. So, I just wanted to put that out there that you don't have to have a fancy camera, you don't have to have a script. Sometimes it's okay to just have a conversation. That being said, talking about change, I think one of the things that has helped me as a person, as a creator, as an educator, as a mom, is that change will always happen. No matter what I do, everything will change. I literally have no control over change. My body will change. There'll be change in my career. There'll be change in my life. There'll be change in my work. There'll be change on social media. So how best can I approach it? Number one, you just have to welcome it, right? For me, whenever something changes, and that was even like 2 years ago, before I had matured this much, whenever there's a change on social, I take a step back, I log out, don't think about it, do something fun for the day, and then come back and think about what it means for me, for my clients, and if I want to strategize. Now, changes are happening every day on Instagram that I don't even know about, and I honestly do not care. Because half the time, even Instagram that is announcing the change don't know what it means, because they've started spreading a lot of false information. So I am at that point, even with client accounts that we manage, we're at that point where we are focusing on our strategy. Nothing is deterring us. Nothing is shifting us to the right or to the left. We know our focus, and that's what we're doing. So for me, change should not shake you, especially if it comes to like platform change. It should not make you rethink your entire strategy, except if it's a drastic change like, oh, Reels are leaving Instagram or carousels are leaving Instagram. If it's minor things like, oh, now we have an audio sticker, now you can do this in story. Bro, nobody cares. You know, so I am legit at that point when I'm like, oh, Mustard has a new video. Good for him. I don't watch his videos. I do not, because it does absolutely nothing. Adam Mosseri says, don't use Reels today. Tomorrow, it says Reels are the best things for you to use. So right now, it's just a content creator like you and I. So I'm not even going to, his word does not hold water. So if you're a marketer, if you're a creator, if you're an educator, you have to be attuned to all these changes. If it's platform changes, honestly, I would say focus on your strategy. But if it's changes in like consumer behavior, if it's changes in like industry trends, where are people gravitating towards? Your target audience is Gen Z, are they more on Pinterest now? Are they more on TikTok? Do you want to diversify your strategy or focus on that one platform because that's where your audience is? So, you have to think of change in the regard of how does it affect my business, not how it affects my engagement, because engagement does not equal business. Engagement, comments, like shares does not equal dollars. You have to think about your business holistically and the strategy you have for marketing, of which social is just one part of your integral, entire, holistic marketing strategy. So, think about change and what it means for you. And if it looks like something that is drastic, that is very important, like when Instagram introduced Reels, embrace it, see it as an opportunity to try, experiment, and do new things. Because for me, if you go through my content from 2020 to 2021, something is always changing. Maybe because I can't sit still, but because I also know that my audience is changing. I'm changing, they're changing, the way they consume is changing. So, how can I find the delicate balance of giving them what they want while still being true and authentic to myself? Because my ethos is what helps me sleep at night. My authenticity, me sharing only good information, me talking about mindful social media usage, me helping people to avoid burnout. So how can I still have the same message but deliver it in a different way? Because people are changing. So, I always experiment with different content formats, queuing the car conversations. I always experiment with like carousels. Am I using 10 pages? Am I using 5? Am I using a single graphic? Recently, after experimenting with pictures, because I hardly put pictures of myself, so now I'm experimenting with that. So you have to think about, what do I want to do? And then, analyze how your audience receives it, analyze how much they enjoy it, and this is not just in the numbers. Think of how many conversations it starts in the DMs, think of how many emails you get from that one piece of content speaking to people. And, you go from there. If you don't embrace change, you will most likely not remain relevant, especially when it comes to big changes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Very, very well said. And I had to laugh about the Adam Mosseri piece because when I see him in my feed, I'm like, what is this man saying now? Because he always has something different. You're right. And it feels like he's contradicting himself constantly. And we have to say the chorus. I love that you say that. Be unshakable, because a lot of these little changes, they make them and then they end up pulling them back. The one recently that a lot of people kept asking me about was like the Flipsta. Or the other Instagram that you could have. You have your main Instagram, then you have your secret Instagram. It was like this whole thing for like 2 months. And then they were like, yeah, we're not doing that anymore. So, okay, good. Nobody changed their strategy because when they release these things, they take them back half the time. So yeah. One of the things you mentioned was that you're experimenting a lot. I'm curious what you see working really well right now. Not just for you with your clients, like what type of content is working really well right now?
Honestly, I would say scroll stopping content, and I'll explain what I mean by that with basic information. You know how YouTube people are very, they want more information, they're in depth. Instagram people are basic. They want like surface level. They want something that you just have to say, oh, right, don't use line breaks in your caption, but how you deliver it is what matters. By scroll stopping, I mean, if you have been noticing, the videos that have been getting like good reach, good engagement, views, is videos that are well edited. By well edited and scroll stopping, I mean interesting. So did you clone yourself? Do you have like the big text behind you? Do you have some CapCut effects flying around? Those are the things that people are really, really enjoying now, because you know how humans like this, the dopamine to just, hit them and then they're Gucci. So, for me, with clients, with my content, I have noticed that scroll stopping / distracted content has been really working well. For example, in the car conversation videos, I was deliberate about not making eye contact with the camera, because then I don't want you to feel like I am talking to you. You're probably going to be much more interested when it looks like I'm talking to someone else. Why? Because humans are low-key nosy. You want to know what I'm saying that is not to you, So it works all the time. As one for clients that are personal brand, I have seen it work for me. So, scroll stopping, storytelling type reels, videos always work well. That being said, I am a huge carousel girl. And this I'm even so proud to say, right? I'm never proud to say that I have gone viral from Reels, but I'm always proud to say I've gone viral from carousels. I have had carousels bring me 2,000 followers. Because, with carousels, you can even see like the numbers of follows from that particular carousel. And that's because I enjoy delivering information in like a digestible way, but also intelligent, for lack of words. So helping you to think about things the way you haven't thought about it. I have one that everybody really loved, and I was talking about consistency over frequency, and how that you can be someone that posts once per week and you're a consistent person. Because consistency does not mean I post 5 times in a week. It means I'm posting once, but I'm sticking to that. It literally means sticking to your schedule. And, I was talking about burnout, how to avoid it, how to create, and people really, really loved it. So I am pro carousels if you make sure that it's well designed, number one. And by well designed, it's not like bells and whistles. It just needs to be visible. People can read it. The background is dark enough. The text is light, or the background is light and the text is dark, and it's not a novel, because this happens all the time. People overload information on their character, and that's why now you have 20 pages. Just, share your information gradually, make it like easy for people to scroll. And another reason why I love them is they are literally the only tool on Instagram that shows up twice on one person's feed. So, if, for example, I see your carousel for the first time, I don't engage, it shows me the second page a few minutes later. So, team, super nice, distracted / storytelling / scroll stopping reels, and good information type carousels.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you said that Instagram is basic too, and YouTube is like the in-depth content, because I do think that sometimes, even with a carousel, like you said, we try to stuff it with so much content. I 100% agree with you. I'm like nodding my head. Yes, because that's exactly what I say about consistency versus frequency. You can be consistent at your own frequency. I'm here for it. I love all of it. One of the things you mentioned too was about burnout. And I think it's happening a lot right now. People are getting burnout, especially content creators. I'm noticing a lot of content creators making announcements saying, I'm pausing from Instagram. I'm taking a sabbatical. I'm stepping back, because they did so much, too much to get to where they are, and it wasn't sustainable. So can you talk to us a little bit about what are some of these anti-burnout strategies that you recommend so that we can keep going at a consistent pace at our own frequency without burning out?
First things first, I feel like I'm too realistic and logical for my liking, but I believe at every point, if you're creating content on social, you will burn out. I mean, I am on my 500 burnout at the moment, right? But how do I come back from it? And how do I make sure that it doesn't happen too frequently? Because it will. With the way social is, how distracting it is, the shiny object syndrome, it will most likely come if you are a content creator. What you can do though is to work against it, and for me, when I notice that, burnout is creeping in, I'm not excited about my content, because do you know that's what burnout is? You're not excited anymore. You're not excited about what you're creating. And it's not like you don't have ideas, because you do. You're just like, I don't want to do it. So, if I'm not excited about what I'm creating or excited to put content out there, I first take a step back. The first thing I always do is log out of that account that is bothering me. And I have a Vibes Instagram account. That Instagram account is just for like fashion, comedy, just like basic things that just makes me happy. Cats videos, people being silly. Because at that point, I don't want to be an agency owner. I don't want to be a creator. I don't want anybody to look up to me. I just want to be a person in that moment. So, and because social is one of the ways I decompress. Maybe mom life, I don't have enough time to myself to do like a lot of hobbies or all these cool things that people are doing. So, me being on my phone really helps me. So I have a Vibes Instagram account. Highly, highly recommend, where you can just decompress, enjoy things that you really love. Then if you have hobbies, if you like to read books, if you like to watch TV shows. But I noticed that if I don't address the burnout, as I'm watching that TV show, I'm seeing content ideas. So it doesn't really, really do what it needs to do. So, in that moment of burnout, monitor your screen time, because once you get back on that account or that email on that YouTube channel that is making you burn out, you will fall into the trap of comparison. Oh my gosh, she just did this and I was going to do it, but you did not, So, and then that would just take you deeper into the hole of depression. So, take a step back, focus on what is feasible. At this point, what's sustainable for me? As I'm burned out, do I still want to create? Do I want to reduce my posts to one, or do I want to do once per month? Just think of yourself as a person in that moment, and not necessarily a creator or a marketer or someone that has to perform. Secondly, I am the queen of boundaries. Oh my God. My clients know if you text me past 3 p.m., you would get your reply next day at 10. Once I'm out, I am out. I work in social, not in the air. And I learned this the hard way, because there was a time I got burnt out so much I was having panic attacks from Slack notification. And I'm just like, you know what? This is not how I want to live my life. I have children. I have dreams. I have aspirations. Why am I allowing Instagram posts to give me sleepless nights, or someone dropping a comment? And I was just like, yeah, I am not doing this. So I have work boundaries, super solid ones. I have mental health boundaries. I have some people I follow on social that I have muted, right? I love you, but I don't want to see your post. And sometimes I mute them for a particular time. Even sometimes my friends in the industry, if I'm having a hard time mentally with maybe like lifing, and they're launching things, I am human. I would fall into comparison. So for that moment, if I see that you have a launch coming up and I cannot handle it, I will probably send you a message. Oh, wishing you the best with this, and mute you. I'm not going to see your posts. I'm not going to see your stories because I just cannot handle it at that moment. So for me, I had to set that boundary for myself, not necessarily for them. So think about the boundaries that you need to set. What is that thing giving you anxiety? What is that client or that person or that account, making you anxious? And just release them, in the words of Beyonce.
Yes.
Release them and let them go. And every time I say that, I also acknowledge the fact that might sound is the word entitled, or for example, right, a lot of these people, online educators that are taking sabbaticals, it's privilege. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
It's privilege. Yes, they have made enough money to do that. They have, they have money saved to do that. They have cars they can sell to do that. And you necessarily might not have that. So yours might look like just reducing your scope and knowing that, okay, this month, how much do I need to live? I made $3,000. I was making $6,000 and it was making me anxious. So what if I reduce my scope, let a client go, or reduce my hours to 3-5? I know I would not have a lot of money, but your life is more important than money. Your mental health is more important than money. And when you get back up, and you can pick up the slack. But, I just want to acknowledge that privilege is also very important. Maybe having a partner that works, having a trust fund, or having money saved is good when you're burnt out. The last thing I do when I feel like I am burnt out is, self-care. For me, self-care looks like, sitting on my bed and watching Station 19, sitting on my bed and watching Grey's Anatomy, turning off my phone for those moments. And I feel like at the end of every week, I'm always burnt out. So from Friday, 6 p.m., my phone is off, except if a client has like an important launch that, maybe, we just have to be there. But I even have a social media list that is super good with things like that. But I always try to turn off my phone, and then I put it back on Saturday to talk to my family, my mom if she wants to call, back off, then I turn it on Monday. And by off, I don't necessarily mean switch off. I mean like my airplane mode is on, so I can read books if I want to. I can play games. I love to play games on my phone because it helps me decompress. No notifications are coming in. And then by Monday, I am energized. I can, do whatever it is I want to do. I can be the best for my clients, for myself, for my family. And because you know that if you're burnt out, you're not winning. Nobody's winning. You're not doing your best. You're not doing your best work. Clients are paying you, but they're not getting you. You're not happy. It's just, it doesn't make sense to work through burnout. So yeah.
Yes. Okay. You could be me and I could be you. Like everything you're saying, I'm like, this is me. Like you're me, basically. I mean, I think that's part of working in the industry. Like I have moments where I'm like, oh, I was literally having panic attacks about getting emails because I was just too available. And you're right. There's this, I think the biggest thing about burnout is most of us are not privileged enough to take a year off to deal with the burnout. So before you get to the point where you need to take a year off, let's set some boundaries. Let's turn off the notifications. I will put my phone on Do Not Disturb in a heartbeat. People like, Andrea, I texted you. I'll text you back in 2 days. Like it's not an ER, like you said. Oh my God. Everything you're saying, I'm like, it's what I would say. It's what I would say. I loved this conversation so much, Tomisin. I love it. I know you have a checklist for social media managers. Tell us about the checklist.
That checklist was birthed from burnout. Legit. It was birthed from doing everything and doing nothing. So I decided, and this was even before I built my team, hired people to help and support. When it was just me, I decided that, how can I best maximize my time and be effective? So I wrote a checklist for things I have to do daily, things I have to do bi-weekly, and things I have to do monthly. And, every time after I created it, I put a post on social, and I'm talking like 3 years ago. And it went, it went far. It got a lot of saves. And that's how I knew that, this would be a good lead magnet for my people, which is social media managers, to help them maximize their time and to help them work smarter and faster. So that's basically what it is. It has like daily tasks. So that looks like inbound and outbound engagement, if that's relevant to you. Scheduling or putting things up, if that's relevant to you. Bi-weekly, it has things like creating client content, because in the agency we do bi-weekly calendars. It has other things like getting ready for reporting, analytics, sending things off to clients, and it has like mini timelines, right? That if you want to get approval in a week, for example, when should you send out content? So it's basically for you to work hard, be effective, but also still have a life.
Mm-hmm. I'm 100% here for it. If you want to grab this, go to our show notes, OnlineDrea.com/310. That's 310. And you can get the checklist and you can connect with Tomisin everywhere. Instagram's her fave, but also on YouTube. We'll put all the links. Thank you so much for being on the show. This was great.
Thank you for having me. I had the best time. It's always really good when you're talking to someone that you have like similar ethos, similar messaging, because the vibe is all and the energy is always like 100. So super happy to be here.
Yay. Thank you. Yeah, the vibes are vibing. I love it. I love it. And thank you, dear listener, for listening to another episode. Next week, we're talking about Substack marketing. So if you're curious about Substack and all things Substack, we have 3 amazing people in our roundtable to talk about how they're leveraging Substack. So tune in next week for that. In the meantime, make sure you give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. It helps keep us in the top 100 marketing podcasts. That's because of you, dear listener. We'll be back soon. Bye.